whenever that is. He'll see how he feels tomorrow after going harder today than he has in a while since he played in the games. And like I said, big picture approach, being cautious with it and getting them back at 100 and not 85, 90, so it doesn't linger. And we'll see how he feels tomorrow.
When you talk about the big picture approach, your team obviously is playing a lot better. 3 of the last 4 games have been victorious, had a tough one in Utah. What's been, from your perspective, the key to your team's improved play, and what's the key to sustaining whatever that is?
Honestly, time that it takes. What we focused on at times early in the season and what we're looking at now and trying to zero in on specifics. We feel we're at a good place defensively overall, and we are who we are, and it's not a lot more to implement there. And so that's a constant every game, every night. And now, like I mentioned, the last 10 or so games, looking at our offense, how to be more efficient, how to, play better team basketball, and then, get and make more wide open shots. And so I think over the last 10 games, we're ranked 6th offensively, offensive efficiency. And so looking back at what we did well in those games, playing with more pace, playing together, and, knocking down shots, like I said, always helped the numbers.
Right, and coming off the last game, 14 of the first 15 shots went in for you guys. Ridiculously efficient, to say the least. When you have a game like that, and it gets out of hand at the end like it did, in terms of you guys just everything was going down, what are the takeaways as a coach that you have that you can focus you guys on to try to get better at this? Offensively speaking, a lot of things really went your way.
Yeah, just making the right plays. And obviously guys were making shots at a high level. Guys got going, Peyton specifically, and so guys were looking for him. But with Jaylen or Jayson, Dennis, the guys we always talk about, is making the right play, whatever that happens to be. So picking your spots when to score. They both had 31, obviously, but didn't have a lot of turnovers, and so we're making the right play. And so, we look back at the second quarter, what we didn't do as well as the other 3 quarters, and ways to be efficient, and worked on some of those things today.
Al and Romeo, are they what's their status for running?
That'll be good to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your approach to the schedule? I mean, this December, I haven't seen a more difficult schedule for any team in a month that you guys have. I mean, what's your approach to game by game kind of cliche? Is that true? How do you kind of approach when you don't get a break this month?
Yeah, I mean, it really is for the most part. You don't really look at the opponent or the schedule moving forward. You just look at that night and that game. And, we got 2 back-to-backs. We have days off in between. So you got a guy like Al that didn't play. He gets 3 nights off, 3 days of rest to be ready for the second part of the back-to-back. But it's literally one by one and hoping to limit minutes as much as we can, especially with the heavy load that guys had early in the season with injuries to other guys. And so any chance you get to scale some minutes down, but it is what it is. They keep coming and don't have a ton of practice time, and have to find that balance of getting what we need as opposed to getting rest for guys that have played high minutes. So it is literally one by one. You factor in back-to-backs and how that can affect certain guys on certain nights. But, we played heavy minutes in a hard game against Utah, and they came out with great energy against Portland. So the rest of the league has to do it, and our guys found the energy to do it, and it is what it is.
On that front, Jayson is second in the NBA minutes right now. Is that like how much more ideally would you want to get that number 9 to 36 right now, or do you feel like that's he's obviously in the shape where you can kind of sustain that?
Yeah, I don't necessarily think 36 is a big thing for him. Given that Jaylen's been out the amount he has, and we've had to rely on him more, that obviously was ramped up a little bit. Besides the extra overtimes, the 6 extra periods there, tacking on some minutes, but he's a guy that has coped well. He's finding his rhythm. And as I mentioned, I've never seen a guy his age take care of himself the way he does, prepare the way he does. So with treatment, getting the shots he needs in the weight room, he's living in the gym. So he takes care of himself, and it's not a coincidence that he should be able to play those high minutes and play at a high level.
Big pressure on Jayson. How have you seen him navigate kind of the ups and downs of this year?
Stay confident, stay consistent in his process and what he does. He doesn't waver from that, whether he scores 40 or has a bad shooting night. He comes in and does what he does every day, like I just mentioned. So his professionalism is off the charts, especially for a guy his age. Like I said, I've been around a long time. Never seen a guy at that age really focus on taking care of himself to the extent that he does. And so credit to him, he's able to play those minutes. And, 36 isn't, crazy high number. Like I said, we've had to rely on him more than we probably would have liked to early with guys being out, but he's taking on a heavy load and stays consistent with what he does every game, every practice, every day.
I know before the season, you said you want to see more playmaking out of Jayson and Jaylen. I guess more so Jayson, he's been healthy, but what have you kind of seen from him in terms of that playmaking part?
He's picking the spots, understanding what he has to do every night for other guys as well as himself. We just say make the right play, basically, and he's done that all year for the most part. So there's still going to be times where he goes to his natural tendencies of looking to score at times, but he does that at a high level, so you can't knock him on that or try to take that away. But as I've stressed over and over, he's learning on the fly what he has to do to become a more rounded player, offensively and defensively. And, he picks his spots well. I'm thinking, he's making the right play for the most part, and teams are going to try to take the ball out of his hands. So the more he loosens everybody else up, the more easy it becomes for him in the second half of games.
That's not a really quick follow-up. I want to ask you about the Schröder really quick. And just coming in, there were probably expectations he had for himself, you had for him. How is the reality of his impact on the team different from maybe what you thought you might be getting from him this year?
Very similar to what I thought about him and what I've seen from him as an opponent over the years. Just the honest fact is he's gotten more opportunity with guys being out. So, put him in a different role with Jaylen being out early for those games, and he's found a nice rhythm there. He picks his spots as well. He's a guy that, had high assists, low turnovers, and obviously scored a ton the other night, but consistent threat to get downhill. He is who he is. And I've seen that, like I said, that from as an opponent. And, credit to him as well. He's played through some injuries, some rolled ankles a few times, and has really needed one night off and jumped right back into it. So love his heart and toughness. Availability every night is a big thing with him, and he takes pride in that. So he's been a pleasure.
Yeah, and it seems that he's been able to really figure out a way to be impactful as a scorer, but not necessarily get in the way what Jayson is trying to do out there. How has that been accomplished from your perspective for him and the team?
He's had that role, for several years now. Specifically, I go back to Oklahoma City where he didn't start with Gilgeous-Alexander and Chris Paul, but he would finish the game, and you have to pick your spots. And so we rely on him for that, give those guys a break at times, but also learn to play off those guys and be a threat there. So when he's on the second side, he's another guy that can obviously score the basketball, so you have to be aware of him. But we have the lineup space where he's in at times without those guys to kind of carry the load. And, we have a nice little package for him with his go-to things that get him going. But he said it, you love to hear it as a coach when they repeat what you're saying and it sinks in, and he's talking about less ISO, less holding the ball, quick decisions. And so that stuff obviously makes us happy to hear that and see him, live it on the court as well.
All right, we'll go to Zoom questions.
Start with ladies first. Abby Chin.
Oh, thanks, Jeff. Ime, I don't mean to be a downer, but Rob has gotten in some foul trouble early the last couple of games. How do you coach that but also balance, because his aggression is obviously one of his greatest assets?
We'll just show him the video and obviously talk to him about being in the right place, how valuable he is to us. Some of the fouls were, some of his old habits of reaching down and slapping down, getting ducked in, not doing his work early, got some early post-up fouls on Nurkic there. So a lot of them were not really due to aggression or being over-aggressive, but being out of position. So you show him those things on the film, show him where he should be, and then ways to avoid it because he is so valuable for us. And so breaking habits, like I've mentioned quite a few times this year, is hard. Some guys have habits of slapping down, and we're trying to break that one with Rob.
Mark Murphy.
Hi, Ime. Back to Jayson for a moment. He has probably been finishing at the rim and getting to the line as much as he has all season. Is that partially a matter of just understanding how the game's going to be called right now and what he has to do?
Yeah, I'd say that we've hit him quite a few times with not settling, making quick decisions. And when he does that, he can get to the basket or make plays for other guys. I think he had some success quite a few games ago and saw himself getting to the free throw line. Saw he was missing shots early in the year that we love him getting to the basket. And so I think he just, saw the success of getting to the basket, getting to the free throw line, and how that opened everything up for himself and has carried that over. So we love the balance. Like I said, he can score in the post, pick and roll ISO, anywhere on the court, but we really like him getting downhill and being aggressive there and drawing and kicking for his teammates. So he's seen the success of that, and we need more of that from him for sure.
Final Zoom question from here, coaches, from John Corrales, please.
All the stuff you've been talking about, breaking guys of habits and guys, working to expand their games. You've talked a lot about how that takes time. If you look at the standings, you're 3.5 games out of first. Is there some comfort in knowing that even though this hasn't resulted in as many wins as you want, that you haven't been left behind in the standings to this point?
Yeah, it's something we really don't talk to the team about, but we see that. You win some of those games where you had 19-point leads against Chicago and Cleveland, or bad start against San Antonio or whatever it may be, and you're right up in the top of the standings with teams that are having almost career years. So my big thing is stay the course and look at the big picture, because we're not far behind, and we have started to hit our stride in certain areas defensively early and offensively lately. So stay in the course, and as I mentioned, the first part of the season being an extension of preseason with our guys being out and the new coaching staff and new coverages, schemes, terminology. So it's a credit to our guys to keep playing through the things and being only a game, like you said, a few games out. And we feel like we have a lot of room for improvement. So that's definitely positive.
Thank you, Coach. Wrap it up right there.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thanks,